If you want to show us some love, donate at rubydaytv.com, the home of all my exclusives. And don't forget to leave the show a rating or a review. I'm Ruby Day.
And I'm Olivia.
Welcome to Love Shot.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we have a spicy topic today.
Yes, we do.
And it's one that really had my thoughts going.
Yeah.
So it's about losing your virginity.
Oh
Can you
gosh,
even
yes.
remember that far back?
Oh, yeah.
Well, hopefully it was far back. I mean, I've met 40-year-old virgins, so it could be recent. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it. It was last week. No.
Well, maybe it was. And if it was, you got to tell.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I definitely remember losing my virginity. And, I think that I could look at it in multiple different ways. When did I lose? I had different virginities I lost, too,
Well, but just start with,
my first
the
virginity.
norm.
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
And what I mean by that is start with the penetrative sex.
Oh, yes.
Losing your virginity.
Yeah.
Now, see, I don't actually recall mine.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's because, the sex just wasn't that good.
Oh, my gosh.
Or if it's just, no, it just wasn't that big of a deal for me. Or, it can be really awkward. And I don't remember it necessarily being awkward. It just wasn't a big deal. It just kind of happened. It wasn't meditated. It wasn't planned. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, oh my God, did we just do that? Yeah, we just did that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I make a big ordeal out of it? Or is this not their first time too?
Right.
See, I lost my virginity to someone who was experienced.
Ooh.
So it was like,
Well, me
don't
too.
make it a big deal.
Yeah.
Just quietly internally be like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I just did that. Oh wow, that's what? What was the
Wow.
big deal about all that?
Oh, goodness.
So, but I don't actually consciously remember any of the details. It just happened. It felt great. Orgasmed, laid in bed, and it was done.
Oh, wow. I've heard of people who don't remember much. So it's like it just kind of happened so much or whatever. Now, not for me. Now, I have a story. I have a really great story. And I remember it very, very vividly. It was a night. Of
course you do.
I was dating this person, and it was like, I didn't even
Was it a
expect.
guy or a girl?
It was, there's different virginities, isn't there?
It could have been a girl and you lost your female virginity.
Yeah, and I had that happen in high school. Lost my female virginity then.
So was that the first virginity you lost was to a woman?
Yes, I would say I did.
Wow,
Yeah.
if that's not classic lesbian emo vibe, I don't know what is.
Yeah. It was, definitely had a lesbian moment. I didn't feel like a lesbian. I think it was more about curiosity and stuff that took place.
Oh, but still, I didn't have that until my mid-20s.
Oh, goodness.
I went straight for the D.
Yeah. Well, I was a bit more of a shy girl back then, but I had this girlfriend of mine that, I think I've shared a little bit about that story. We were celebrating together. We were really good friends, and we spent New Year's Eve together. And by the end of the night, we decided to go have a hot tub, and there were some friends that were having a hot tub party on New Year's Eve, and. Like I said, I was in high school, and yes, we were drinking a little champagne and stuff like that, and we got a little tipsy, and it was just a little frisky in the hot, bubbly water.
Yep.
And water I found out that time, water definitely makes me horny.
So water's an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, it's an aphrodisiac
for you.
for me. And this girl, she was hot after me, and I didn't even know it. I mean, I thought we were friends, and she's just like, "Well, can I rub your back?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds great."
See, that's a friend zone move.
Yeah.
To get it over that little hump.
Oh, yeah, and she got it over that little hump all right. And then, she just kind of worked her magic. And then at some point in the night, the moonlight was out, and everybody else kind of cleared out. They were like, "Well, we're going to go in," and they were going to watch a movie, and we were going to, do some other stuff. And I was gonna sit there for a little bit because I was really enjoying the vibe. The moon was out. It was just like this serendipity moment that was just really nice. And she was sitting there, and we were just chilling. And the next thing I know, she takes her top off, and And she slides over next to me,
So
and she
she's
starts.
forward,
Yeah,
too.
she's forward too, and she's just like, "Well, nobody's here. It's just you and I. So I'm going to take my top off." And then next thing I know, she's feeling me up,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just didn't say anything. And I was like, "This kind of feels kind of good." I'm like,
During the
what's the harm,
headlights?
right?" Yeah, and I just kind of let it happen. And the next
Yeah.
thing I know, she just kind of slides over on my lap. She straddles me and just kisses me while she's grabbing my boobs and stuff like that. And then she slides her hand down into my bikini bottoms, and I
That
was just
sounds like an
"Oh my goodness,
experienced
yeah."
girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She knew what she was going after. I was so nervous, but it was like at the same time I felt safe, and it was just and it felt good. And
Yeah.
it was there was like and then the environment was just so nice, and it was just kind of like, hey, okay, kind of just go with it. And so I did, and so I had this moment that just it turned into a really hot makeout session. Um, I got fingered and for the first time, and it was like, this was amazing by somebody else, and it was just really really fun and exciting, and I remember that one.
Yeah.
Now that was my first time virginity with a woman. Now my first time with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
I was in college, and I was literally dating this person, and we hadn't had sex or anything. We hadn't even
Right.
broached that. We were just really enjoying each other's time. And honestly, I hadn't even thought about it. It literally didn't cross my mind. I was just so much enjoying the
All
time.
I could ever think about was sex.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
well,
always.
I was just enjoying the moment, and I took this person. I said, "Well, this was a time, and Haley's Comet was coming that night, and so it was like on a Friday night, and it was like, hey, you want to go out to the lake?" And we had this local lake that was nearby the college, and they had these little peninsulas that you could drive
So
out
this
on.
was
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah, it was in college, so
Okay.
I didn't lose my, the opposite gender sex until I was in college.
Wow.
And so we went out, and we had this lovely night. I thought we were just going to go on a date.
Okay, wait a
and
minute.
stuff.
I'm going to interrupt this story,
Yeah.
so I'm sorry, but really? You waited until college?
Yes.
I couldn't wait that long.
Well,
I was 16.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
waited
was
until
like-
I was ready, but that's
Yeah.
when I was ready.
I was a late bloomer when it came to that. I think I might have been just turned 21, I think. So I was
Wow.
really, and it just hadn't even dawned on me that to have penetrative sex or stuff
Yeah.
like that. It just didn't even cross my mind. I mean, I had done makeouts, I had kissed boys
Right.
and girls, and I had played around with all that different stuff, and I'd done some oral and petting and stuff like that, and obviously lesbian sex, we had that, and that was a lot of fun. And I guess in some ways you're doing penetration with that, but it's
Yeah.
very different.
Oh,
The
it's
other one's very very different.
different.
Yeah, so we went out, and I wasn't even thinking about it. We just wanted to go out and see Haley's Comet.
Right.
Thought it'd be a romantic thing. We took some drinks out, and we were just sitting in the back of the car watching the comet, and it was a beautiful night.
Yeah.
Stars were out, and it was just gorgeous, and the temperature. And I was just laying back there looking at the Haley's Comet, and just, we were having a conversation, just stargazing, and it just kind of happened. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, it just kind of happened. Before I knew it, we kind of we were petting, and some things that I was used to and stuff. We had done
Right.
that, and the making out and stuff like that. But the next thing I know, slips inside, and I was like, "What is that?
Okay.
What's happening right now? Oh my God, what is that?" It just slipped inside, and next thing you know, it's happening, and I had a surprise moment, and it honestly, I had a little bit of a panic. It was a little
Wow.
panic moment that I had. It died down because it wasn't like I didn't want that with this person. It wasn't like that. I mean, I was really connected, and it was so surprised. We never talked about it.
Right.
It just kind of happened, and
Oh,
they
it
took the
never
moment.
gets talked about. Rarely, or at least
Yeah.
back, when I lost it,
Right.
it never got talked about.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Yeah, and the next thing I knew, everything's wet.
Yeah.
Everything is wet. So
Everything.
much wet. I was like, what is happening?
Everywhere.
I mean, it's like everywhere. I'm just gushing.
It's like, somebody please hand me the towel.
Yeah. I felt like, I was like, this is making a mess. That was my... I was
You're
thinking that.
concerned about the mess it's making.
Yeah.
Oh, screw it.
Oh, no. It's just,
Seriously, this is what it's all about.
Yeah. It was just
Wet and sloppy.
wet and sloppy situation, and it was great, and it was nerve-wracking, and it was exciting, and I liked it. By the time it was all said and done, I really really loved it. And but that's how it happened. And it was kind of a romantic serendipity kind of
Yeah.
moment. The kismet moment is happening. And after that, I was hooked. I mean, I was like, "Oh my God, I want that. Let's do that
I
again."
really couldn't get it off the brain after that.
I was trying to figure out why hadn't I done this sooner?
That's what I'm thinking about you. Like, why hadn't you done this sooner?
I don't know. It never even
Well,
crossed
no,
my
I
mind.
mean, some people it just takes a little longer, and there's absolutely nothing wrong.
So I
with
was
that.
I was glad it happened like that. I mean, it was like could it whenever I always thought about losing my virginity, I thought, oh, it was gonna be planned. I'd think about it and have it all
Yeah,
orchestrated.
you see it in the movies, and it's like a big ordeal, and everything's set, and the mood's just perfect, and you have a playlist selected, and the lights are dimmed, and you have candles everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, never happens.
No,
that
it
way.
was nothing like that.
Rarely ever.
But it was still romantic.
Mine was just kind of like, hey, we're fooling around a little bit, and you kind of get carried away with yourself.
Oh, yeah, and that's definitely what happened. It was definitely a romantic, nervous. It was just like it was romantic, but it was anxiety-ish and nervous and awkward. Yeah.
It's always awkward the first time. And it doesn't matter if it's the first time with just a person, someone, or if it's the first time that you've ever had sex.
Yes.
That you lose your virginity.
Yeah.
It's always awkward. You're like, what am I supposed to do with this body I have?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's making sounds and it smells a certain way. And I'm getting, oh my gosh, and it's just ramping you up. And it's like, I didn't even realize the body could have these sensations. And I got lost in it. So I think that's part of the reason why it's not.
Yeah.
Like, the details aren't real relevant for me.
Oh,
because I just got lost and enjoyed. And it was funny because the guy I lost my virginity to, afterwards, he literally thought that wasn't my first time because I got so wrapped up in it and lost, and I just went with it that he goes, "You never know."
Yeah.
He said, "I seriously thought this wasn't like you've done this several
I didn't even
times,"
tell the
and
person.
I was like, "No."
Yeah, I didn't even tell the person that was
well,
my
that
first
conversation came later.
Yeah, I told him much later on that was my first time. Yeah.
A couple meetings later.
Yeah.
And, get done with sex, and then you start having pillow talk.
Yeah.
Bed talk. And that's how it came out, just in a casual conversation. It wasn't like, hey, I gotta tell you something.
Yeah.
It wasn't that way. I'm not that kind of girl.
Oh,
it was
gosh,
just like, hey, this is old hat for me. Mm-hmm. I just didn't make a big deal out of it because honestly, for me, it really wasn't. I mean, I wanted to have that experience.
Right.
But it just wasn't a big to do. Yeah. It wasn't a big deal to me. It was a big deal that it got treated appropriately.
Right.
But just the whole, it's like, no, this is part of the coming of age, and I want to do this, and I'm ready to go, start that part of my life and my journey. And
but it was not like that for me.
It was just, I went full-fledged into it and just allowed myself to relax and go with the flow of whatever it was. And just kind of read off of my partner. Yes. I wasn't this awkward, how do I do this? Or, stumbling over things.
Well, that's what I did. I just kind of went with it. After I realized it was happening, it went with it. And that was my first, vaginal intercourse kind of situation that I had. And then later, it was that same person that I was dating in college that introduced me to anal. So I lost my anal virginity to the same person. And that one surprised me too, because, it was kind of an interesting experience. It started off with, we were having sex, you know, and, just having some missionary sex, and I was on top and stuff like that. And, he just reaches over and, he slips something right in my ass. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm like, and I'm just like clenching down on that. It's like, well, that feels really good extra. It's like, that's surprising. And I had never even.
When you're so in the mood for it, like it rocks.
And he didn't even ask. It was just like, it just felt like the mood was right. And I guess they were right.
Read the room.
They read the room right, because I.
And happened to hit gold.
And Yes. I loved it. It was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? What's happening? I was like, I had this really shocked moment, and they were just like, just relax. Relax.
Just chill.
You'll enjoy this.
It's not
Trust
a big
me.
deal.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna like it. And I was like, well, okay. And so I was kind of nervous, and but then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I think I'm liking this. And we got our rocking, and we were still having vaginal sex or whatever, but I was getting that, and so I was getting this double stimulation, which was really, really nice. And so they were like, the next thing, they were like, I had that moment of just the play with it, and the next moment they were like, after that had happened, they're like, we need to go and get some more toys or something like that so we can do that. But after that, it was like, well, let's do something else. And we went through toys, we went through all that experimentation and losing my virginity to all the toys, and then they wanted to do the other. And it was like, because I felt like I was really tight and I wasn't going to be able to take them. They were, I felt like taking their full D was going to be like, this is a lot, this is a lot. But they got me worked up and they did all this stuff. And then I lost my anal virginity again, for real, to the D. And that was a whole amazing experience that just had me, I literally came from... Yeah, I came from that as well.
Oh, you very easily can when you're in the mood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right, and you've got to be in the mood, no
Totally.
doubt.
Well, I'm that type of person.
Yeah.
I have to be in the mood for anal.
Yeah.
And I lost my anal virginity because I was so worked up. I was like, just fuck it.
Just out of the blue?
I was like, look, I want to try this.
Yeah.
I'm really like...
Where did you get the idea?
This.
Because it didn't even cross my mind.
I didn't. It's just the fact that my booty was like, feed me. That's all. I mean, I was seriously so worked up that
you're just like, do it. Yeah.
The vaginal sex just wasn't hitting that button. Yeah. And I had this other button that was like throbbing. Yeah. And so I was like, well, screw it. Let's just try it, But it was with somebody that I really trusted, that had been a longtime partner. Right. That I knew was going to take it easy, not get too out of hand, too gregarious, and that I could go at my own pace since it was my first experience of, just kind of getting warmed up to it. But hitting all those buttons that I needed hit. Yeah. And instantaneously, I had cum dripping down my thighs. I mean, it was just, it was the spot that needed to be taken care of.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
I was a little older, when I did that. And it was it's not that I didn't have people ask. Yeah. I did, but... It's like they just weren't the right people for it. And for me,
you got to feel comfortable.
Any type of sexual interaction, especially being new, it has to be the right types of people.
Well, it seems like anal is much more intimate than vaginal. And that's kind of my
It can be, but I've known women who are like, they get no sensation with kitty sex. Yeah. They get all of their buttons are literally anal. So
So vaginal doesn't do anything.
Yeah. So for them, anal isn't that type of same intimacy. Yeah. I think that it is for someone like me. Yeah. That almost all of my buttons are vaginal. Yeah. And so when it's anal, like I really have to be in the mood for it. Yeah. I have to really be worked up in order to do it, and so that I can relax enough. Right. And then it's a very intimate interaction. Oh yeah. That a lot of times for me is more intimate than vaginal.
I totally agree.
Except for DPs.
Oh,
and
goodness.
That hits a whole
That's
nother
a whole other
rector.
virginity loss, isn't it?
And that hits a whole nother department.
Oh God, I remember the first time.
It's not that it's not intimate. It's just a whole different.
Oh, it's a whole
beast
other
of its
ballpark.
own.
Oh God, yes. I remember the first time I had my first DP, and it's like I lost my DP virginity. Yeah. Now I got to kind of prep for something like that with my partner, we were having vaginal sex and they were using toys on me anally, and we were getting both. But I remember when they were like, "Hey, I have a friend."
I have have a friend, we
have a
work
friend.
really well together.
Yeah. We work really well together.
Because that's the other
yeah.
thing. Two guys.
Yes.
Or a girl with a strap on.
Yeah,
but they have to
right.
be two people that really work well together. Because there's a whole protocol to it.
Yeah, you got to get the motion right.
Well, it's not even the motion. It's like you got to know which one goes in which hole first.
Well, that and the angles
because
and stuff. Yeah.
otherwise you'll shoot the other one out even if one's in, and then we got a whole nother situation, and we don't want to get it too frustrating because then the D's start getting soft, and that just defeats
that doesn't
the
work
purpose.
You gotta have,
then you got to do all your work all over again,
and
then get started all over again, which is fine.
Yeah,
it's just how the anatomy works.
Yeah,
but
well, it wasn't until I didn't get my first, real DP until I was much older. I was out of college. It was, the partner I was with, we started dabbling in the swing lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's really the opportunity that actually provided it. Even though there was my partner at the time, they ended up making friends with another guy that was in the lifestyle. And they happened to just both be in the lifestyle and stuff like that. And their wives, and he was married with a wife, and they were like, oh no, this is, they got this.
Yeah.
And the guys were very
That's
comfortable.
common in that
and so I was
lifestyle.
like, okay. And I was pretty nervous about, having that kind of engagement, even though I had played with the other guy. But it was far out. I mean, it was really, really far out to have something like that. And so, like I said, you can lose your virginity many different times, many different ways with different types of sexual experiences. I can't say that was on my bucket list, but it's definitely a nice thing to have. And I've done it many times since.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm like you. It wasn't necessarily something that I was like, hey, I'm going for this.
Yeah.
I'm looking for people who are comfortable and who would be good for it. No, it was literally like I was having sex with one partner.
Yeah.
And it was being really good, and someone I had repeatedly had sex with.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, that's just quite not cutting it. I need both of them filled. And then it went to 3 of them filled.
Oh God!
And then it went to
3 of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God! You lost.
And then it went
airtight.
I have to have 5 of them, one in each hand, so that they just rotate. It was like I kept having to add and
that
add
is something
add.
I have not done. I have not done.
Oh, that takes skill, being the person.
Yeah,
who's getting banged.
Yeah.
To be able to, if you don't have guys that work well with each other.
Yeah.
And being able to navigate them all.
Oh God, yes.
And give them direction while your holes are filled. And you're worked up. It's wait a minute, I got to use how many sectors of my brain at the same time? Okay, I got this. I got this. You go here. You go there. You go here. All right, this one's done. Let's go to the next.
Project management, I think, right? You got a lot of project management.
I have a lot of project management
I may have to call you
skills.
in when I plan my first
Is
one.
that resume worthy?
I think
Can
so.
I put project management skills because I've had gangbangs?
I think after listening to some of your stories, I definitely have it on my bucket list now. I have a bucket list for a gangbang and definitely want to, some different things like that. But I was like, I've only done a DP and I've done that several times and I really, really enjoy it. But I would be open for it if I hadn't found the right group of folks,
and it has to be the right group of guys.
Yeah, I've just never found that many.
And a lot of times I end up finding the guys that'll do gangbangs.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the first time they've worked with each other. Like, this is a common
We've worked on these projects before.
They're like, oh, no, we've worked together before, so it's no problem. I'm like, oh, cool, so I don't have to manage as much.
Right. Oh, goodness.
And that's the way,
I've
done newbies, I've done people who have, like, this is their old hack kind of thing. This is one of their specialties.
Right.
And I have to say, there's enjoyment in both of them.
Yeah.
It's just,
sure
it's
very
a different experience.
Yeah, much different, yeah.
Because when it's with people who are accustomed to working together, like, you just can enjoy it a little better.
It seems like a less intimate situation.
Well, you don't have to be as concerned for how those other people, how it's going for them, how it's, how their emotional state is at the time, if they're comfortable catering to that. It's more of, no, let's just get this deed done. Let's tackle it. Let's have a good time. Let's get enjoyment out of it. Let's come. Let's go.
Yeah.
But I can remember the first time I had oral sex.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing. Like actual penetrative sex.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the details
But
much.
you can remember all the rest.
But I can remember the first time I sucked D.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't...
Me too.
I think it's because I was so fascinated with penis.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
I know. It's far out looking.
It was almost, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's really kind of the only way I know how to explain it. It was alien.
Yes, that's what I thought the same time.
Like it's alien. Was just like something that didn't seem human.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was so fascinated with it. That was like, oh, let me look at it. Let me touch it. Let me feel it. I want to stare at it for a while because this is just kind of bizarre. But I thought the same thing with women's vaginas.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm like, my first time, I'm spreading the lips open. I'm pulling them open on the inside. I want to see inside.
Got a little light on your head.
I want to like check it all out. Not only for safety and cleanliness, but just out of pure
curiosity,
fascination. Yeah. I was so fascinated with it.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, now how is this going to feel in my mouth?
Right.
Like, what's the sensation? Yeah. What's the texture?
Yeah.
What does it smell like?
Yeah.
Does it start putting off another scent the more excited they get?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I went through all of this, and it really wasn't about the technique at that point.
Right, it wasn't.
It was like my brain was being blown from just the entire fascination of the experience.
Well, it's just exploring.
And it was like, I kind of felt bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Because you didn't do a good job the first time.
Right.
You're like trying not to rub your teeth on.
Yeah.
Getting all those techniques of rolling your lips so that your teeth don't grit and don't graze.
Right.
And that your first time, I'm sure it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I wasn't perfect.
Right.
The guy didn't complain, so I figured it was good. I did a decent job.
You have to like do something really bad for a guy to complain.
Well, that's not true. I mean, some guys are really sensitive. Yeah. That's a really sensitive area.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to be careful with it. But it's like you want to be firm, too. And so I was just trying and, doing what I thought should be done and just going with the flow. But I think it's so imprinted in my mind because of that fascination of it just not seeming like it should be on a human body.
Right. Yeah.
And now I'm like, of course it's part of the human body. Like, that's where it belongs.
That's my favorite part. No.
Yeah, it's like, that's where it belongs.
Yeah.
That and the balls.
It's
like it was this whole package.
Oh, yeah. I was totally fascinated.
And I played with it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if a lot of women are that comfortable or a lot of men are that comfortable to allow women to do.
I'm still fascinated
but
by
I
it.
played with it. I'm like thumping it. I'm like touching it. I'm like
I'm smacking it on my face. I like to smack it on my face. I don't know why.
Just
like, okay, let's do that.
See what the different sensations are and the different feelings.
Yeah.
And I will never forget the texture.
Yeah.
The texture was
I know, right? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
And still to this day, I love that texture.
Yes. Yeah, I do too. I still love looking at them. Every time I get a new partner, I'm like always just fascinated.
Oh, yeah, because they're all
checking
different.
them out. Yeah, I want to check them. Oh, they are different. Yeah. Exploring them. Playing with them, just it's like a toy. It's like your new toy, and it's like it's warm and.
Hey, I think my kitty's a toy.
Yeah. I love mushrooms. That's what I always say.
Yes.
Losing your virginity. What a great topic.
It is.
As you said, there's so many ways to lose your
it.
virginity. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it.
And it doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah.
Like
I got to lose my virginity multiple times in different ways, different holes, and different experiences. And that's kind of how I look at it. I didn't really look at one thing being more important than the other.
No.
Yeah, it was all just, it all had its own experience, and so that was kind of my story. It's some
And I
great
love it
stories, yeah.
because even a new person, it's kind of like you're
Yeah.
pseudo losing your virginity
Yeah, it's kind of
all over
Kinda
again.
is,
So
a
it's
little
kind of
bit.
like
Yeah.
virginity keeps giving.
Yeah, absolutely.
And who can complain about that, right?
Right.
If you want to show us some love, donate at rubydaytv.com, the home of all my exclusives. And don't forget to leave the show a rating or a review.